Hi, this is Christine, and we're at the NAPE Expo at the Bitcoin Mining Pavilion, and I am here with Joel. Joel is the CEO and founder of 10 Net Zero.
Yep, co-founder.
Co-founder.
Don't want to throw my butt under the bus.
What? You're going to get in trouble, huh?
Yeah.
So thank you, Joel, so much for being with us today. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you do in this space.
Yeah, sure. So, I started off, I'm from the oil and gas industry. I have a background in oil and gas. So, I was actually, Steve Barber of Upstream Data.
Sure. Canada.
From Canada, yep. He's a really good buddy of mine. So, he pioneered, the flare gas mining space. So, I moved to Houston in 2016 with engineering oil and gas type company. He started Upstream in 2017. So I was like, Steve, what are you doing up there, man? Like, what is this Bitcoin stuff? So I always had Steve in one ear. And then when I got down here, I actually went to school. I did my graduate, like MBA type stuff. And that's where I met my business partner. And he's a Bitcoiner. So I hit him in one ear. And then we realized that we're both trying to solve the same problems. So that we just see a lot of inefficiency in the energy markets. Mm-hmm. And Bitcoin is just the perfect solution for that, right? So once we graduated, we actually started 10 Net Zero with the idea of helping oil and gas companies and energy asset owners solve problems, and we just leverage Bitcoin as a tool or a solution. And we've seen a lot of success and traction with that idea.
Wow, excellent. So when you talk about inefficiencies in the energy market, what are some of the things that you're seeing?
So, some of the wild stats out there, like, was it Livermore Labs or whatever, about 67% of all energy that's created is actually wasted. It's not used.
67%.
Yeah, so that can be in many different forms, like, maybe it's noise or heat or whatever, but it's wasted. It's not monetized, right? So in the oil and gas industry in particular, there's a lot of inefficiencies. If you go to any oil and gas producing field, you'll probably see a flare. That's just because of an inefficient market, right? It's stranded economically. And because with Bitcoin being the perfect solution, and especially in a mobile solution, you can just apply that there, and then you can add value. You can reduce those CO2 emissions and mitigate that flare, but you can also monetize that stream now. Oil and gas companies spend millions of dollars to go put holes in the ground, and then they light it on. So stuff comes up, they light it on fire. Like,
yeah.
It's very inefficient, right?
Absolutely.
So, you see that on a small scale, but also on the big scale. You see the Waha hub going negative pricing in gas all the time, right? You see in Canada as well, that's inefficiencies in the market. You can't transport it efficiently or economically. You can't do anything with it, so you have to burn it or get rid of it, and it's wild. It's wild, and Bitcoin is the perfect solution.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's we're very passionate about that.
Wow. Yeah, and because you have the experience in the oil and gas field already, then you know how to talk the language and how to speak to what their concerns are and what they're thinking about.
Definitely helped. When you go in and you talk to someone and you can talk the talk on the Bitcoin side, I can talk oil and gas out of one side of my mouth and I can talk Bitcoin out of the other side of my mouth. You're really bridging that gap and you're educating them and you're talking to them as opposed to down to them. A lot of people just, number one question, what is Bitcoin, right? Yeah. You don't need to worry about that, right? Like, you don't ask me what the chemical composition of butane and ethylene is, right? It's like, you don't care. It's a commodity that you sell into a marketplace. Bitcoin is the exact same thing. It's just a commodity. I'm selling it to a different marketplace, and this marketplace is 24/7, and it's international, and you don't need a middleman to do it.
Yeah.
Like, then you start talking their language, and they understand it a little bit better. Like, okay, this is not as scary, or a boondoggle like I might have heard on the news.
Yeah.
That's really helped us, I think.
That's great. So you get in front of an oil gas field owner. What's your pitch?
Ooh. Well, typically they have someone in their organization that has already at least seeded the ground, right? Most of our prospects come to us. There's someone in the company that has been orange pilled, loves Bitcoin. Yeah. They see the value in it. They see the problem in their own operations. And then they reach out to someone like me and they're like, hey, can you come talk to us a little bit about this? Like, what would a project look like?
Yeah.
Right? So once you're already at that stage, it's a lot easier. You don't have to sell Bitcoin and the project. You just have to sell the project.
Right.
So you just tell them, okay, what's your risk factors? What are you guys comfortable doing? You just want to sell your gas. It's very clean and easy, very traditional business model. We'll come in, we'll put our own equipment up there, so it's no CapEx for you guys. We'll give you an upside if Bitcoin runs. So they get a taste of that kind of stuff. They're like, okay, these are normal business practices, and they're very comfortable with that. So if you can get them to, see that upside and see this is just normal business, that's typically my approach. And
So it sounds like you have several different options for them, based on whatever, like if they want to mine themselves, if they want a hosting kind of deal. Do you will you bring your equipment and mine for them?
yeah, great question. So, like I said, we want to solve a problem for them, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes their problem is a underutilized asset like a substation. So we'll work with our partners and our contacts to create a solution that works. That's usually a hosting scenario because the company just wants rent. You can monetize that asset that they have, and they don't have to do anything. They're just collecting rent at that point, and they like that business model. So that's one solution. Another one is just straight up gas purchase agreements. It's almost like a midstream solution, basically. And they like that because that takes care of a lot of the problems that they might have, like, for example, royalty owners and things like that. If they're getting paid, it's just business as usual. And then you get the companies, the really innovative ones, the ones that want Bitcoin because they want that edge.
Yeah.
They want to do a joint venture, and we're happy to do that too. So, we'll figure out some kind of equity structure, capital in, whatnot, and then we'll just split the revenues. And sometimes they take it in Bitcoin, sometimes they want it in USD, but whichever one works.
Very interesting. And what are you seeing in the space? Do you see that more and more oil fields are reaching out, understanding, or are you still just breaking in? Where are we at with adoption wise?
Yeah, great question. So if you look at the adoption curve, the S curve of technology, we're just at the beginning of that S curve, right? So the people that are more interested in Bitcoin from our experience, it's typically the smaller operators, the ones that are more interested in the cash flow, revenue generation. You're seeing more and more mid-size operators and the larger operators, at least doing a pilot project out there or talking to Bitcoin miners. And that's exciting. But from what I've seen, the most activity is on the smaller side. It's the mom and pops and the smaller operators that are, doing this because honestly they have to, or they're more innovative. They can move quicker.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing in terms of projects being done. But you're seeing all kinds of stuff. Like you saw Shell sponsor the Miami Bitcoin conference, right, for 2 years. Yeah. That was just a pretty big deal in my opinion, right? Yeah. That gives a lot more legitimacy, and they're obviously talking about this internally, and they're going to put their money where their mouth is. Like, that's exciting. I think that's going to be a trend, I think, going forward.
Yeah, and once they see one of them doing it, it's like, with that S curve, adoption curve, you get to the point where it's race to get in and not be last.
You're losing if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And what you're seeing, this is what's great about these companies like, Upstream Data and Gig and stuff like that, is they're giving these companies an off-the-shelf solution from an equipment standpoint, right? Because when you look at basically the innovation curves and whatnot, like the people who first do it, they just do it because it's really innovative and they love innovation. They don't care about the price, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the early adopters. They need something off the shelf, and it has to solve a problem for them. Right. They'll pay a little bit more to do it.
Quick and easy.
But it has to be a whole solution.
Yeah.
And it has to solve a problem. And then the late adopters, the guys, which will probably be the bigger guys, they're doing it because it's now the industry standard.
Right.
Right?
Fear of missing
out.
And
I think they'll do it better. They'll do it the best because that's what their business is. They'll do it more cost efficiently and all that kind of fun stuff.
Right.
But we're not there. We're definitely not that far down the road yet.
Well, it sounds like it's you're willing to offer them the upside of Bitcoin as well. So they're paying a certain price, but then that can be adjusted when you're making a ton of money off the price of Bitcoin, and they're feeling a little jilted that, they only locked in at this price.
Exactly. So, one thing we want to do in that gas purchase agreement is give them an upside. So if Bitcoin runs, they get a taste of that. They're not just left out in the cold.
Right.
Because what we really want is adoption.
More Bitcoin.
We want oil and gas people cheering for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So if they can cheer for it and they see the upside of it, and, it's when we capture that lightning in a bottle in the bull market, we'll give you a little bit of it. And I think that's fun and it's exciting. It's not something everybody does. I think a lot of Bitcoiners came into oil and gas thinking, hey, we'll get these suckers to get this energy for free, right? But that's not a sustainable model, right? I don't think so. I think you need to engage oil and gas people. You need to get them cheering for Bitcoin, showing them how it works, get them out there touching, the actual machines and stuff and seeing how real it is. And then, they get excited and I think it's a win-win.
Joel, is your company based here in Houston? Where are you working? Just in Texas, or are you back in Canada, or?
Nope, not in Canada. I haven't been back to Canada now in probably 5 years, unfortunately, which is wild.
Sorry.
But so we got some small operation in Louisiana, some stuff in Texas, in like the Corpus Christi area, on some gas wells, and then we're looking at building out some stuff in the Midland area as well.
Very exciting.
So very exciting stuff. I'm excited about it.
Fantastic. Well, clearly you love what you're doing.
I tell people I work in the two funnest industries: oil and gas, energy, and Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin.
And I don't work. It's just fun. I get to do stuff like this.
Yeah, I know. It's always like a get together with friends every time.
Well, you know what's wild? So I'm from Newfoundland, right?
Yeah.
Newfoundland, the government has a booth just right over there.
Wow.
And I just met my old boss from like 2011. I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Did you orange peel him?
Well, I brought him over here to see all the equipment and stuff like that. He goes, get the wheels turning a little bit, but that's
Plant and seed.
that's the power of oil and gas.
Yeah.
From a network perspective, right?
Yeah.
But it was Bitcoin that brought me here today. So like that's so cool.
Well, that's why I love that oil and gas people are getting in, because, you want to work with people that you trust and that know that they have your best interest at heart. So,
Yep.
So understand the industry. So
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, we will put information about how to get in touch with you under this video. And Thank you so much for taking the time today, Joel.
It's been a pleasure. It's always great talking with you. Look forward to doing it again sometime.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And for all our subscribers out there, like and follow for more content like this to get the latest on what's happening in the Bitcoin mining and blockchain space.
Hey everybody, Ryan Harper. I'm sitting at the NAPE Summit 2023 here in Houston, Texas at the TBC PubJect Power podcast booth. And I just wanted to give a couple of updates about the summit and what we have planned. We just went live with our ticketing, and I just sent an email out to, 5,000 plus people to get early bird ticketing. But that's not why I wanted to do a video. One of the things I wanted to convey is what we have planned, what we have aspirations to be, and how we see the summit being moving forward. The last 2 years have been amazing events, and it's been centralized around Texas, centralized around policy, and great efforts in Austin, Texas. Moving forward, we want to have a much bigger footprint. We're going to be in Fort Worth in November 15th and 16th. We're going to be at the convention center. We're going to have a trade show floor. We're going to have speakers that you didn't think that we could get. We have aspirations to get some high quality, high profile people, both in policy, both in political world, and in the Bitcoin blockchain digital asset space. We're going to have workshops, we're going to have startups, we're going to have universities, we're going to have nonprofits, we're going to have opportunities for startups to pitch their products. We're going to have opportunities for nonprofits to kind of showcase what they're doing, their social initiative. Our goal is to include everything that enterprise, blockchain, Bitcoin, digital asset space would want in an event. Bitcoin Miami is amazing. Consensus is amazing. Both of those events have 20,000 plus people, but both those events are probably more of your retail space. Our goal is to make the summit the premier policy, Bitcoin, blockchain, digital asset space for everyone across the country. If you're an enterprise, if you're professional, if you want to do deals, if you want to make real change, the summit is where you need to be. This video was supposed to be 30 seconds. You're welcome. Anyway, we look forward to giving you more updates, and we'll see you at the summit.